Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. Well, that is when I'm making this video. You might not be watching it on a Saturday, but it is 7 a.m. here in Denver, Colorado. And today I am actually going on a long run. So I am doing a half marathon in Austin, Texas on February 18th. And this is my first half marathon that I'm running since being diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And I wanted to do a video today for you to talk a little bit more about what it's like exercising with type 1 diabetes. So stay tuned. So some history on my previous running experiences. So prior to being diagnosed with diabetes, I have ran 10 half marathons. I have not yet done a full marathon. Still don't know if it's something I want to do, honestly. 13 miles is enough for me. But I know when I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, I was very, very scared that I wasn't going to be able to do any more half marathons because I really like to run. It's my favorite type of workout. And I remember being in the hospital and being very nervous when they were talking about, controlling your blood sugars and all of that. And I was like, am I going to be able to run? And especially right after being diagnosed, I was still figuring everything out. And I remember going for a run in the middle of the day after being diagnosed and my blood sugar dropping like pretty quickly because I didn't know anything about, insulin on board or anything like that. And I'm pretty sure I took, fast-acting insulin a couple hours prior to running. And so naturally it dropped. And I remember freaking out and being really nervous that I wasn't going to be able to continue my running experiences. And it took a while for me to get back up and running. But now I am running my typical 3 to 4 miles a day. However, I still haven't ran any long distances. And as you all probably know, a half marathon is 13.1 miles. And I have one coming up, like I mentioned, in February. And so it's about a month and a half away. So I really have to kick it into gear right now for training. And I usually do my long runs on the weekends, so either Saturday or Sunday, depending on the weather, depending on what I have going on. Today, I'm actually going to do 8 miles. It's really important when you have type 1 diabetes to know how much insulin you have on board prior to running. Thankfully, I am a morning person and I really like to work out in the morning, and that's usually prior to me eating breakfast. I have very minimal amount of insulin on board usually when I'm going for a run. And I learned that the hard way. Like I just mentioned, I've ran several times with insulin on board and it never goes well. I tend to drop and then I don't run as far as I want to run. So I like to get my long runs done in the morning, ideally before I even take my Basaglar, which is my long-lasting insulin. Now, I know some of you take your long-lasting at night. However, I take mine in the morning. So I take mine around 7 a.m. each morning. But since it is Saturday and it's 7 a.m. right now, I just took my Basaglar and I take 7 units of Basaglar. I did take that, and that usually does not affect my runs. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Usually it does not, but really it's the fast acting that affects my blood sugar. So I should be fine as long as I don't eat anything or don't take any insulin and eat like a large breakfast prior to running this morning. So I will try to keep you updated on my run, and I'll do another video after my run to show you how it went. One thing that's been happening recently, and I'm not sure why this is happening, and I even asked my diabetes educator about it. When I'm on my long runs, my blood sugar stays pretty even the entire time, or it stays pretty level the entire time until I stop running. When I stop running, my blood sugar starts to drop. So I'm the type of runner that likes to finish maybe half a mile away from my home because I like to cool down and just walk the rest of the way. And I've noticed that when I do that, my blood sugar starts to drop. So let's say it's, staying around 115 during my run. Well, for some reason, when I stop, it starts going down to 100, then to 90, then to 80. And I have to watch it pretty closely when I stop running, but I still don't know why that's happening. And I asked my diabetes educator and she said she didn't really know either. And it might just be because the body is a magnificent thing and they you know, my body knows I'm working hard. So during my run, it's staying there. But then when I stop, it's like, oh, she's resting. It's time to cool down, which is what's making my blood sugars drop. But, you know, it's something that I have to be considerate of and think about during runs, because if I have to stop for any reason, my blood sugar is going to start to drop. So stay tuned for my run today. I'll keep you updated. It is January in Colorado, so it is pretty cold this morning. I think it's like 31 degrees. I don't mind running in the cold. Obviously, I wish it was like 50 degrees, but gotta get it done, you know? Gotta get it done. So stay tuned for my run. Talk to you soon. Let's go! I'm almost at mile 3. Woo! I just hit mile 4 and I did a blood sugar test. I started at about 115 and now it's at 98. So I still have 4 miles to go. So I'm gonna pop some glucose tabs and keep going. So I'm at 5.5 miles and my blood sugar is dropping. So it says 80 with the slight down arrow. And so I'm gonna probably walk here soon because obviously I don't want it to keep dropping. I did take 4 glucose tablets, but they haven't kicked in yet. So I want to be better safe than sorry, and I'll probably walk for a little bit. All right, guys, so I'm taking a little break. Unfortunately, my blood sugar's dropped to 69. So I'm at 5.41 miles, but I'm gonna sit here and wait now for my blood sugars to go back up before I start running. Just hanging out in Denver. It doesn't help that it's cold, but what can you do? All right, guys, my blood sugar went back up. It's at 82 and going up. So let's continue the run. I have 1 mile to go. So that's 7.18 miles right now. Got to get to 8 today. Whew. Hopefully some other people are out there running with me. Hopefully having better blood sugar days than I am. But let's go. Let's finish this 1 miler. Finally finished my 8-mile run. My blood sugars, as you know, did not go as planned. And even right now, so after I finished, my blood sugars went up to 82, but then started dropping again. And when I finished my run, it was at 77. So I just took 3 more glucose tablets because I still have about half of a mile walk home. So I have to watch that carefully, obviously, on my walk home, because I only have 1 more glucose tablet. So thankfully I'm sort of close to home. Note to self, take more glucose tabs next time or some other type of sugar to prepare for this type of situation. I honestly think that these are the days that I miss the most of having a pancreas, because running is one of my favorite things to do, and it's really frustrating when I'm trying to go for one of my long runs and your blood sugar goes. I'm sure you've all been there before, doing some type of cardio exercise and your blood sugar dropping, and how frustrating it is. And it's just annoying that I have to take sugar with me. I mean, you all know, it's frustrating. And I do miss having a pancreas that works when I'm going on long runs. So unfortunately, it is what it is. I no longer have a working pancreas, and I have to take sugar with me everywhere I go. But at least I still am able to run, and at least I am still able to take sugar that will help my blood sugar goes up so I can run. But it's frustrating. All right, guys, so I showered after my run. I had some time to ponder on my long run today and what I, learned from the experience of dropping low, and what I can do next time to ensure that I don't drop low during my run. So what I really learned was I started at about 115 for my blood sugar. And so what I would do next time is actually raise that a little bit prior to my run. I know I mentioned earlier that usually my blood sugar doesn't drop while I'm running, but it did today. And so I do need to be prepared for those scenarios. And I would ideally like it to be closer to maybe 130 or 140 when I'm starting my run. So I need to take that into account, that I may need to raise my blood sugar a little bit and eat something prior to my run, whether that's a granola bar, even just some sugar really anything. I guess that's something I need to test out prior to my half marathon, is what should I eat prior to taking. And I would want it to be obviously under 15 grams of carbs, because I don't want to have to take any insulin for it prior to running. So that's the first thing I would say I learned based on my run today. The second thing I learned was to take more sugar with me on my run. So I took one of those small, I don't have it with me, but I took one of those small glucose tablets, the individual packets that includes, I think, like 10 glucose tablets. Well, by the end of my run, I only had one left. So, you know, and that was only 8 miles, and a half marathon's 13.1. So I should probably carry at least 2 of those, or maybe some gummy bears or something as well, just to switch it up and ensure that I will have enough sugar on my run. And then 3, the thing I learned was, or I guess I should say the thing I'm accepting is, it's okay if my blood sugar starts to drop. It is what it is. I have diabetes and that happens. And so really just accepting the fact that when I'm running my half marathon in February, it might drop, and being okay with that, and being okay with sitting down and losing that time for my half marathon to really protect my health. So I know it's frustrating when we're trying to succeed at things, and obviously, like when I run a half marathon, I want to hit a time goal. My best time for a half marathon is 1:55, and I would love to have a PR for that. But if I don't, make that because I have to sit down for 10 to 15 minutes because of my blood sugars, oh well, right? That's just, it is what it is these days. And my goal for this half marathon, because it is my first after getting diagnosed, it really is just to finish. I just want to finish and complete the 13 miles. I don't care how long it takes me. If I have to stop 10 times to make sure my blood sugars are fine, whatever, that's fine, right? It's really just an accomplishment for me to get my first one under the books. And I appreciate you guys following my 8-mile running story today with me. And it is kind of crazy that my blood sugar dropped because I was actually recording it this time. And I'm actually happy it did, because now I will be prepared even more for my next run. I hope this helps if you're a runner and maybe you're newly diagnosed and you're still learning what it's like to work out with type 1 diabetes. I really hope this helped. Please comment below if there's a certain exercise that you do where your blood sugar drops, or maybe an exercise that you do where your blood sugar rises, and what you do about those scenarios. I'd love tips for myself, but then also anybody else watching this video, if they see those comments, hopefully they can learn from you as well, not only me. So comment below, let me know, tell me your stories. I love hearing from you. So please tell me your stories. I want to read them and I want to hear about them. So thanks for joining me on my running journey today, and I'll see you guys in the next video.